Dominica, the nature island of the Caribbean. But where did this name come from? Many people know this island for its lush green mountains and its stunning waterfalls. It is a special place, full of life and history. The name itself holds a story that travels back over 500 years. It connects the island to a moment in history that changed the Caribbean forever. This story is not just about a name, it is about the people who lived here first, the Europeans who arrived later, and the nation that Dominica has become today. Understanding the name helps us understand the island's journey through time. This journey begins with a simple word, chosen on a specific day of the week. The name Dominica is deeply tied to European exploration. However, the island had a name long before any explorer crossed the Atlantic Ocean. The indigenous people had their own name for their home. The story of the name Dominica, therefore, involves different cultures and different histories coming together. It tells us about power, about survival, and about how a place gets its identity. This essay will explore the layers of this fascinating story, from its ancient roots to its modern meaning in a proud and independent nation. We will look at how a name given by a Spanish explorer was kept by French and British rulers. It is interesting to see how this European name stayed with the island through centuries of change. We will also explore how the people of Dominica have made this name their own. They have added new meaning to it, especially with the title, The Nature Island. This title celebrates the island's incredible natural environment. It has become a key part of how Dominica presents itself to the world. The story of Dominica's name is a rich and wonderful tale. Join me as we travel back in time to uncover the roots of this island's name. We will sail across the ocean with explorers. We will walk through the ancient forests with the first inhabitants. We will see how history has shaped this beautiful Caribbean island. By the end, you will see that the name Dominica is more than just a word on a map. It is a symbol of a unique and resilient culture. It represents a history that is both challenging and inspiring. It is the story of a nation that has carved its own path while holding on to a name from long ago. Dominica is a jewel in the Caribbean Sea. It is located in the Lesser Antilles, an arc of islands separating the Caribbean from the Atlantic Ocean. It sits between the French islands of Guadeloupe to the north and Martinique to the south. Unlike many of its neighbors, Dominica is not famous for white sandy beaches. Instead, its beauty comes from its wild and untamed nature. The island is mountainous and volcanic. It is covered in dense, green rainforests. There are said to be 365 rivers, one for every day of the year. This makes the island a paradise for hikers, nature lovers, and anyone seeking adventure. The island's landscape is truly dramatic. Towering peaks, like Morne Diablotins, reach high into the clouds. Deep valleys carve through the land, holding pristine rivers and spectacular waterfalls. Trafalgar Falls and Middleham Falls are just two of the many famous waterfalls that attract visitors from all over the world. Dominica is also home to the world's second-largest hot spring, the Boiling Lake. This incredible natural wonder is a testament to the island's volcanic activity. This raw, powerful nature is the heart of Dominica's identity. It is why the island is called the Nature Island of the Caribbean. This title is not just a slogan, it is a reality. Beyond its natural beauty, Dominica has a rich and vibrant culture. This culture is a blend of African, European, and Kalinago influences. The Kalinago people are the island's first inhabitants, and their heritage is still alive today. You can see it in the crafts, the food, and the stories passed down through generations. The African heritage is strong in the island's music, dance, and Creole language. The French and British colonial past also left its mark on the island's architecture, laws, and official language, which is English. This mix of cultures creates a unique Dominican identity that is celebrated in festivals like Carnival and the World Creole Music Festival. Life in Dominica is connected to the land. Many people are farmers, growing crops like bananas, citrus fruits, and root vegetables in the fertile volcanic soil. The sea also provides for the island, with fishing being an important part of the local economy. The culture is one of community and resilience. The people of Dominica have faced many challenges, including powerful hurricanes, but their spirit remains strong. This deep connection to nature and a strong sense of community make Dominica a truly special place. Its culture is as rich and deep as its volcanic soil and as vibrant as its rainforests. The story of the name Dominica begins on Christopher Columbus's second voyage to the Americas. On November 3, 1493, the famous explorer and his fleet were sailing through the Caribbean islands. After many weeks at sea, the sight of land was a welcome relief for the crew. The island that appeared on the horizon was unlike anything they had seen before. It was tall and mountainous, covered in a thick blanket of dark green forest. The peaks seemed to touch the clouds, and the island looked mysterious and untouched. It was a dramatic first impression of this rugged land. Columbus did not land on the island that day. The coastline was rocky and steep, with few safe places for his large ships to anchor. He noted its wild beauty from the sea as he sailed past. He needed to find a place to rest his crew and get fresh water, but this island offered no easy welcome. Although he did not set foot on its shores, he did something that would change its history forever. As was his custom, he gave the island a name. He needed to record it on his maps and claim it for his patrons, the King and Queen of Spain. The day he first saw the island was a Sunday. In the Latin language, the language of the Church, and of scholars in Europe at that time, the word for Sunday is Dies Dominica. This translates to the Lord's Day. Columbus, being a devout Catholic, often named new lands after religious figures or concepts. So he named the island Dominica in honor of the day he first sighted it. The name was simple, yet it held great significance for him and for the Spanish crown. It marked the island as a Christian discovery, placing it firmly within the European worldview. This act of naming was a powerful one. It was the first step in claiming the land for Spain, even though the Spanish never successfully colonized the island. The name Dominica was recorded in the official logs and drawn onto the new maps of the region. From that moment on, this was the name that Europeans would use for the island. It replaced the name that the island's own people used. The name given on that Sunday in 1493 began a new chapter in the island's long and complex history, one that would be defined by outside forces for centuries to come. Long before Columbus sailed the Caribbean Sea, the island we now call Dominica was already home to a proud and resilient people. These were the Kalinago, who had migrated from the South American mainland centuries earlier. They called the island Waitu Kubuli, which means tall is her body. This name was a perfect description of the island's mountainous and majestic landscape. It showed a deep connection between the people and their environment. For the Kalinago, the island was not just a place to live, it was a living entity, a powerful and respected presence in their lives. The Kalinago were skilled navigators and warriors. They built impressive canoes from the gommier trees of the rainforest, which they used to travel between the islands for trade and for warfare. Their society was well organized, with villages led by a chief. They were expert farmers, growing crops like cassava, sweet potatoes and corn. They were also skilled hunters and fishermen, using the rich resources of the forest and the sea to sustain their communities. Their culture was rich with traditions, stories, and a deep spiritual understanding of the natural world. Every mountain, river, and tree had meaning. When the Europeans arrived, the world of the Kalinago was turned upside down. The newcomers brought with them new diseases, new weapons, and a completely different way of seeing the world. The Kalinago fiercely resisted European attempts to colonize their island. The rugged terrain of Waitu Kubuli, with its dense forests and steep mountains, gave them an advantage. It made it very difficult for the Spanish, and later the French and British, to establish settlements and control the island. For this reason, Dominica became one of the last Caribbean islands to be colonized. Today, the Kalinago people continue to live in Dominica. They have a territory on the east coast of the island which was set aside for them in the early 20th century. It is the only remaining home for this indigenous group in the entire Caribbean. Here, they work to preserve their language, their culture, and their traditions. They keep the memory of Waitu Kubuli alive. The story of the Kalinago is a vital part of Dominica's history. It reminds us that the island's story did not begin with Columbus. It began with the people who knew the island's every secret and called it by its first and most fitting name. Even though Spain was the first European power to name Dominica, they never managed to build a lasting settlement there. The island's difficult terrain and the strong resistance from the Kalinago people made it too challenging for them. However, other European powers, particularly France and Britain, had their eyes on the island. Its strategic location between the French colonies of Martinique and Guadeloupe made it very valuable. For much of the 17th and 18th centuries, Dominica became a battleground in the long-standing rivalry between these two powerful nations. Both wanted to control the island and its resources. The French were the first to establish small settlements on the island. French woodcutters and missionaries began to arrive, and they developed a better relationship with the Kalinago than the Spanish had. As a result, French influence grew. Many of the place names in Dominica today, like the capital city Roseau, are French. The island's Creole language, a mix of French and West African languages, also comes from this period. The French brought enslaved Africans to work on small coffee and sugar plantations. Despite this growing presence, they kept the Spanish name for the island, Dominique, the French version of Dominica. The British, however, were determined to take Dominica for themselves. The island officially changed hands several times between France and Britain as a result of wars and treaties in Europe. The Treaty of Paris in 1763 formally gave Dominica to Britain. The British then began to establish larger plantations and brought in more enslaved Africans to work them. They fortified the island, building impressive structures like Fort Shirley at the Cabrits. But the French did not give up easily. They invaded and recaptured the island during the American Revolutionary War in 1778, only to return it to Britain in 1783. This constant switching between French and British rule had a profound impact on the island's identity. It created a unique cultural mix that is still visible today. Dominica has a British system of government and law, and English is the official language. Yet the culture feels very French in many ways, from the food to the language spoken in the villages. Throughout this entire period of colonial conflict, the name Dominica, or its French form, Dominique, remained. It was a constant reminder of the island's European discovery, even as the colonial powers fought over who would get to control it. The name given by Columbus had stuck. After centuries of colonial rule, the people of Dominica began to push for more control over their own affairs. The movement towards independence grew stronger throughout the 20th century. Finally, on November 3, 1978, Dominica became a fully independent nation within the Commonwealth. The date was chosen deliberately. It was exactly 485 years to the day after Christopher Columbus first sighted the island. This choice was symbolic. It marked a new beginning for the nation on the very anniversary of its entry into the European-dominated world. It was a way of reclaiming the island's destiny. When the country gained its independence, it had a choice to make about its name. Some newly independent nations choose to go back to a pre-colonial name to reject their colonial past. For example, the Gold Coast became Ghana. However, Dominica chose to keep the name that had been given to it by Columbus. There were several reasons for this. By this time, the name Dominica was known throughout the world. It had been the island's official name for nearly 5 centuries. Changing it would have caused confusion. More importantly, the name had become part of the island's unique identity. It is important to note that Dominica's name is quite different from many other Caribbean islands. Many islands are named after saints, like St. Lucia or St. Kitts. Others have names derived from their physical features, like Barbados, which means the bearded ones, possibly referring to fig trees. Dominica's name is unique because it is named after a day of the week. This sets it apart. The name is also often confused with the Dominican Republic, a much larger Spanish-speaking country on the island of Hispaniola. Dominicans are always careful to clarify that they are from Dominica, the small English-speaking island of the Lesser Antilles. By keeping the name Dominica, the new nation showed that it was ready to build a modern identity that acknowledged all parts of its history. It did not erase the colonial past, but chose to move forward. The name became a symbol of a new, independent nation, ready to make its own way in the world. The focus shifted from the name's colonial origin to what it would mean for the future. The people of Dominica took the name given to them by an outsider and made it their own, infusing it with their own spirit, resilience, and hope for the future. Today, the name Dominica is known around the world, but not just for its historical origins. The country has successfully built a powerful brand around a second name, the Nature Island. This title perfectly captures the essence of modern Dominica. It highlights the island's greatest asset, its unspoiled natural environment. This branding is a key part of the country's tourism strategy. It attracts visitors who are looking for something different from the typical Caribbean beach holiday. They come for the hiking, the diving, the whale watching, and the chance to connect with nature in a deep and meaningful way. The Nature Island brand is more than just a marketing slogan. It reflects a national commitment to preserving the environment. Dominica has set aside large areas of its land as national parks and forest reserves. The Morne Trois Pitons National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its stunning beauty and its scientific importance. The country is also working to become the world's first climate-resilient nation. This focus on sustainability and ecotourism shows how Dominica has taken its natural identity and turned it into a vision for the future. The brand connects the island's past, present, and future. The story of Dominica's name is a journey through time. It starts with the indigenous Kalinago and their beautiful name, Waitu Kubuli. It moves to that Sunday in 1493, when Columbus gave the island a new name from a foreign language. It passes through centuries of colonial struggle between the French and the British. Finally, it arrives at an independent nation that has embraced its complex history. The name Dominica is a thread that connects all these different parts of the island's story. It is a name that was imposed from the outside, but it has been absorbed and redefined from within. A name given so long ago by a passing explorer still shapes Dominica's identity today. It is a reminder of the historical forces that shape the Caribbean, but it is also a testament to the resilience of the Dominican people. They have forged a strong, proud identity that is all their own. They have taken a simple name meaning Sunday and have filled it with new meaning. It now stands for natural beauty, cultural richness, and the enduring spirit of a unique island nation. The story of Dominica's name is the story of the island itself. If this story gave you new insight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which country's name should we uncover next? Drop your suggestion below.